Picture this. It's 1999, and Nissan is about to unleash what would become one of the most iconic sports cars in automotive history. A car so legendary that it would transcend the automotive world and become a cultural phenomenon. A machine that Gran Turismo players worshipped, that Fast and Furious fans coveted, and that tuners around the world considered the ultimate canvas. Today we're diving deep into the Nissan Skyline R34 GTR. And trust me, this is more than just another sports car story. Whether you know it as Godzilla, the forbidden fruit of JDM culture, or simply as one of the greatest driver's cars ever made, the R34 GTR represents the pinnacle of an era. So buckle up, because we're about to explore everything that made this car an absolute legend. To understand the R34, we need to rewind a bit. By 1999, the Skyline GTR nameplate already had serious street cred. The R32, introduced in 1989, had dominated Group A racing so thoroughly that Australian touring car fans literally nicknamed it Godzilla. A Japanese monster that couldn't be stopped. The R33 that followed refined the formula but was criticized for being larger and less agile. So when Nissan set out to create the R34, they had a clear mission: take everything that made the R32 great, incorporate the refinements of the R33, and create the ultimate iteration of the GTR formula. And here's the kicker: they knew it would be the last of its kind. The R34 would be the final Skyline GTR with the legendary RB26 engine, the last of the classic GTR lineage before the nameplate went on hiatus. This wasn't just another model year update. This was Nissan's chance to create a swan song, a greatest hits album, the ultimate expression of decades of GTR development. And the pressure was on. The R34 GTR launched in January 1999, and Nissan didn't just meet expectations, they exceeded them. They created a car that perfectly balanced raw performance with cutting-edge technology, old-school mechanical character with modern electronics, and everyday usability with track day capability. Let's talk about what made the R34 GTR tick, literally. Under that aggressive hood sat the RB26 DTT, a 2.6-liter twin-turbocharged inline-six engine that has achieved almost mythical status in automotive culture. Now, officially, Nissan claimed this engine produced 276 horsepower. But here's one of the automotive world's worst-kept secrets. That number was complete fiction. Japan had a gentleman's agreement limiting advertised horsepower to 276, but in reality the RB26 was putting down closer to 320 horsepower at the crank bone stock. Some dyno tests suggested even more. But horsepower numbers don't tell the whole story. The RB26 DTT was built like a tank. We're talking iron block construction, individual throttle bodies for each cylinder, parallel ceramic turbochargers, and an engine that could handle absolutely absurd amounts of power with relatively simple modifications. It wasn't uncommon to see tuned R34s making 600, 700, even 1000 plus horsepower. The engine was mated to a 6-speed GetRag manual transmission, a first for the GTR. This wasn't some flimsy gearbox either. This was a robust German-engineered unit that could handle serious power and delivered precise, mechanical shifts that made you feel connected to the car. But what really set the R34 apart was its Atessa ETS Pro all-wheel drive system. This wasn't a simple all-wheel drive setup. This was an intelligent system that could vary power distribution between the front and rear wheels based on driving conditions. Under normal circumstances, the car was rear-wheel drive, sending power to the front wheels only when the system detected slip. This gave the R34 the handling characteristics of a rear-wheel drive sports car with the traction and stability of AWD when you needed it. Here's where the R34 GTR really separated itself from the competition. While other manufacturers were still figuring out traction control, Nissan equipped the R34 with what they called the multifunction display. Essentially a built-in performance computer that wouldn't look out of place in a modern supercar. This 5.8-inch LCD screen could display real-time data on everything: turbo boost pressure, oil and water temperatures, G-forces, lap times, and even a graphical representation of power distribution to each wheel. You could log performance data, review your lap times, and analyze your driving, all in 1999. This was straight-up science fiction for the time. The R34 also featured an advanced four-wheel steering system called Super HiCAS. At low speeds, the rear wheels turned in the opposite direction to the front wheels, making the car more maneuverable and reducing the turning radius. At high speeds, they turned in the same direction, improving stability. The system made the R34 feel smaller and more agile than its size suggested. Then there was the active rear differential and the brake-based torque vectoring system that could brake individual wheels to help rotate the car through corners. The R34 was essentially using technology that wouldn't become mainstream in performance cars for another decade. The R34 GTR wasn't just one car. Nissan released several variants, each with its own character and purpose. The standard GTR was already incredible, but Nissan didn't stop there. The V-Spec added an active limited-slip differential, revised turbochargers, stiffer suspension and a carbon fiber hood. This was the driver's choice, the track-focused variant that took everything great about the base GTR and dialed it up. Then came the V-Spec 2, which added even more refinements, including a revised ball-bearing turbocharger design, improved aerodynamics and available in the iconic Bayside blue color that's now synonymous with the R34. The M-Spec was the gentleman's GTR, luxury-oriented with leather Recaro seats, climate control, and a more refined interior while maintaining that GTR performance. But the crown jewel? The M-Spec NUR and V-Spec 2 NUR. NUR referred to the Nürburgring, and these limited editions were Nissan's ultimate send-off to the R34. With only 1,000 units produced, they featured upgraded N1 turbos, revised ECU tuning, gold-painted BBS wheels, and exclusive badging. These are the holy grails of R34 collecting today. And we can't forget the ultra-rare R34 GTR Z-Tune, produced by Nismo in 2005. Only 20 were made, featuring a Destroked 2.8-liter RB28 DTT engine producing 500 horsepower, completely revised bodywork, and a price tag that made supercars blush. Today, if you can even find one, you're looking at well over $1 million. The R34 GTR's influence extends far beyond the automotive world. This car became a cultural icon, particularly in Western markets where it was forbidden fruit. The R34's starring role in Too Fast Too Furious, driven by Paul Walker's Brian O'Connor, introduced the car to millions of Americans who couldn't legally own one. That silver R34 with its distinctive blue underglow became instantly recognizable and cemented the car's status in pop culture. Gran Turismo players spent countless hours unlocking and tuning digital R34s, and the car became the poster child for the entire JDM Japanese domestic market tuning scene. The R34 represented everything enthusiasts loved about Japanese performance cars: cutting-edge technology, tuning potential, and design that perfectly balanced aggression with elegance. The US market's inability to legally import the R34, due to the 25-year import rule, only added to the mystique. This was the car you couldn't have, which made everyone want it even more. The American market wouldn't see legal R34 GTRs until 2024, when the 1999 models finally became eligible for import. Production of the R34 GTR ended in August 2002, with approximately 11,600 units built across all variants. It would be 5 years before Nissan revived the GTR nameplate with the R35, a car that, while phenomenal in its own right, was a completely different animal. No more RB engine, no more Skyline badge, and a shift from analog hero to digital supercar. This makes the R34 the end of an era. It was the last GTR with a manual transmission, the last with the RB26 engine, and arguably the last GTR that prioritized driver engagement over pure performance numbers. Today, R34 GTRs are serious investments. Clean examples regularly sell for six figures, with rare variants like the NUR and M-Spec commanding even higher prices. That Z-Tune we mentioned earlier? One sold for $1.3 million. For context, you could buy multiple brand new R35 Nissan GTRs for that price. But the R34's legacy isn't just about collectability or investment potential. It's about what the car represents. The culmination of decades of racing heritage, engineering excellence, and pure driving passion. The R34 came from an era when car companies built sports cars not just to make money, but because engineers wanted to create something special. The R34 proved that technology and driver engagement weren't mutually exclusive. You could have all the electronic aids, the computers, the advanced systems, and still create a car that felt raw, mechanical, and alive. Every shift of that get-rag gearbox, every spool of those turbos, every corner where you felt the ATESA system shuffling power around, it all combined to create an experience that modern cars, for all their superiority on paper, often struggle to replicate. The Nissan Skyline R34 GTR is more than just a sports car from the late 90s. It's a time capsule of automotive passion, a showcase of what happens when engineers are given the freedom to create something truly special, and a reminder that sometimes, the most legendary machines are born when manufacturers know they're creating a swan song. Was it the fastest car of its era? Was it the most luxurious? Definitely not. Was it perfect? Far from it. The RB26 could be temperamental, the interior was aging even when new, and early electronics could be finicky. But was it special? Absolutely. Did it capture the imagination of an entire generation of enthusiasts? Without question. And does it deserve its legendary status? Every single bit of it. The R34 GTR represents a philosophy that's increasingly rare in today's automotive landscape. Build it for the drivers, not the spreadsheets. Make it special, make it engaging, and make it something that people will remember decades later. 25 years after its debut, the R34 GTR isn't just remembered, it's revered. And that's the ultimate legacy any car can have. This is the Nissan Skyline R34 GTR, and this is why it's a legend.